Hey guys, what is going on? I hope you all are doing well today. Elliot here. Welcome back to The Fragrance Well. What are we talking about today? Blind buys. Blind buy heroes to be exact. In other words, these are fragrances that I have blind bought in my collection that turned out to be some of the best additions to my collection overall in terms of blind buying. Disclaimer, full disclaimer, I do not encourage blind buying. Now I do understand that there are some guys who actually like to build their collection by blind buying. They like the thrill of it, they like the rush of it, and most of them fully understand that there is a risk that they are going to spend their money on something and possibly not like it, and they accept that risk. Here's the deal, if you choose to do that, then that is completely fine, but I certainly do not recommend it. I do not recommend building a large part of your collection through blind buying, because ultimately if you buy up a bunch of fragrances that you don't wear, it just kind of becomes a waste. I don't even do a ton of it as a content creator, even though I'm doing a blind buy video right now. Now at the end of the day, most of us are gonna try it at some point. We're gonna either just try to, take a chance on something that we've heard somebody talk about, or maybe we literally just cannot get a sample of it and cannot get our nose on it. Don't really want to go the avenue of trying it from, buying it peer to peer, if you will, and we just take a chance on it. If you choose to do that and you understand that, the risk is there, then that's totally fine. But that's my disclaimer. I do not encourage blind buying. But yes, there are some fragrances that I have taken a chance on, and some of them turn out to be amazing scents and amazing additions to the collection. So let's talk about 8 of them that I've got right here. This is not a ranked list in no particular order. So let's go ahead and get it started. But before we do, as always, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you do like the content, and please hit that bell icon and enable notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. All right, guys, first one is coming from Nishane, and this is Papilefiko. Nishane Papilefiko. Now, I'm not ranking this list, but if I was ranking it, this one would be near the top for sure. Now, this is a recommendation blind buy. In other words, I bought this off of a recommendation of someone else I trust, and that is another content creator by the name of Justin Copeland. I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with him. If you watch his content within the last year or so, this is one that he talks up a lot, and it is a great fragrance, and his recommendation and description of it is pretty spot on in my opinion. So this one here is a somewhat lemony, lavender heavy, balsamic resinous fragrance. Has a little bit of a dryness to it. I think there might be some mossy type notes. There's some dry balsamic resinous notes, and like I said, also a lot of cardamom and coriander like spicy profile. But the fragrance overall is very, very balanced, very, very smooth. I wouldn't quite call it barbershop, but it does kind of have that clean vibe to it, very gentlemanly and masculine and classy at the same time, and I have had great success wearing this fragrance. This is still a sleeper from the house of Nishane. More people are learning about it, more people are getting their nose on it, and they're agreeing to an extent at least that this is a great one from the house. I do hope this fragrance ultimately gets its flowers in the community because it is amazing. Once again, from Nishane, this is Papilefiko. Next one is coming from Savoir Faire. This is the Whiskey Rose. Savoir Faire, the Whiskey Rose. So this one is not really a recommendation blind buy, more of just a blind buy. The first 2 fragrances I bought from this house are blind buys. But the first one I did buy was, I first learned about it from Equality Fragrance, and kind of within his circles and his viewers, learned a little bit more about more of the fragrances in general. But this one I just kind of went for because I was intrigued by it, the description of it, all that good stuff. And this stuff here really blew my mind. This is literally a drunken rose fragrance with leathery facets to it, really kind of soft, supple, suede-like leather, kind of a hint of smokiness in there. There's a kind of a woody and earthy base to the scent. There is some slight oud-like characteristics in there. This fragrance here is perfect for like high-end steak night dinner or high-end restaurant dinner, really elegant, dressing up nice date night fragrance or evening wear fragrance. That's kind of where I place this one. I think that's just the kind of vibe that it gives off. Also, you could wear it to a bar or something like that because it is boozy. I did kind of forget to mention that, but yeah, it's drunken rose fragrance, very boozy as well. Once again, from Savoir Faire, this is the Whiskey Rose. All right, moving on. Next one's coming from Abdul Samad Al Karashi, and this is Safari Extreme. Abdul Samad Al Karashi, or ASQ, Safari Extreme. This was not a recommendation blind buy. I learned about this via a Facebook group I am a part of, and really didn't even do any inquiry on it. Just saw the name, saw people kind of just speaking on it, and was intrigued by it, and decided to just kind of jump on it after doing a little bit more of my own research on it. And man, this stuff is amazing. I literally just got this in like a few weeks ago, so this one is fresh in terms of it being a blind buy hero, if you will. This one is actually a rose oud fragrance in terms of the note breakdown, and at least that's how we would classify it. But I actually think this is more of a jasmine and oud fragrance. This has got to be some of the highest quality jasmine I have ever smelled. Super rich and creamy. None of that indolic characteristic. Not even really that overbearing characteristic that jasmine can really have. It is super smooth and super balanced. And the oud characteristic of this is just like burning the raw wood chips as incense. At least that's how I experienced it to my nose. There's other woody facets to it, a little bit of a musky characteristic, some earthiness. I think there might be some patchouli. There is rose in this, but the jasmine I think is at the forefront more so than the rose. Kind of a hint of spice, a little bit of a fruitiness as well, but a really great jasmine oud fragrance. And I'm looking forward to experiencing some more jasmine oud fragrances, because I know that does exist as a fragrance type, but I haven't really smelled too many of them. This one has set the bar very high. Once again, from Abdul Samad Al Karashi, this is Safari Extreme. All right, next one's coming from the house of Ambar, and this is Silver Birch. Ambar Silver Birch. This is a true blind buy. I have heard nobody else talk about this. I didn't get any recommendations for it. I simply did some research on the scent because Joma Shop had it, and they did not have the one I really wanted to check out based off of a recommendation. But I saw this one, kind of read about it, and I said, you know what, I'll go for it, and luckily it turned out really nicely, actually. This is an amazing springtime fragrance in my mind. Kind of smells like walking down a wooden path with shrubbery and plants around that wooden path on the beach. This has a little bit of a fig-like quality to it, really a smoky vetiver and dry woodiness to kind of simulate the birch characteristic, and it's very floral in nature. Not really any florals stick out to me. It's kind of like a collection of florals, but there's probably some jasmine in here and maybe some other kind of powdery like florals. Fragrance is not powdery, it's just how I experience the floral nature of it. And like I said, a little bit of a fig, fruity like accord. Stuff smells really great. I love the citrus profile of it. And like I said, it is like a springtime king in my opinion. And man, this stuff here pushes off the skin and lasts all day. Very successful, complete blind buy for me. Once again, from Ambar, this is Silver Birch. All right, next one is coming from Day 3 Fragrances. This is Ambar Dominicano. Day 3 Fragrances, Ambar Dominicano. Interesting story with this one. This actually was not supposed to be a blind buy. I actually ordered the Day 3 Fragrances Discovery Kit, which was supposed to have every fragrance they had at that time, but unfortunately they doubled up on one of them in the Discovery Kit, and as a result, this one was not in there. So I was supposed to be able to get my nose on it to sample it, but it didn't come. But I knew this is one of the ones, or at least I had a strong feeling that this would be one of the ones I would like the most. Luckily, that did turn out to be the case because I never did buy a sample. I just ended up buying the fragrance, and this stuff is amazing. This is a very nice, fizzy, kind of cola, boozy amber fragrance with spice and a very special accord of Mama Juana, which is a drink native to the Dominican Republic, which uses wine, red wine, spices, and honey, all steeped over, like a month or something like that. Stuff is absolutely amazing. I would love to get me some here at my house, or even maybe make my own. But yeah, the smell of that is definitely present in this fragrance. I actually got the fragrance before I knew what that smelled like, and once I actually got my nose on it and tasted some, and then came back to this, it is very well represented. But even if I never got my nose on the Mama Juana, this is just an amazing amber fall time, perfect for this time of year fragrance anyway, and a really successful blind buy. I truly do enjoy how this stuff smells on my skin. Once again, from Day 3 Fragrances, we've got Ambar Dominicano. All right, the next one is coming from Dior, and this is going to be Dior Homme Parfum. Dior Homme Parfum. Theoretically, I could have put the entire Iris Dior Homme line on here because all of them were blind buys for me, and I've got the original, the Intense, and the Parfum, obviously. I never got my nose on the original Homme fragrances. As far as I know, they were originally sold here in the States, but obviously they're not anymore, at least not at any Dior counters. You can find them in duty-free stores. Usually the Intense you can find. But yeah, theoretically, all of them were blind buys for me. I just kind of jumped on them because I did get my nose on some Iris fragrances before I blind bought it, and I knew some of them were inspired by these fragrances, so I figured, hey, if I like those, I will probably like these. Turns out that was the case. As far as Dior Homme Parfum goes, this is going to be that same makeup-y, really rich iris that is synonymous with the Dior Homme line, but this one here accentuates the leather accord from the original over anything else. So it's pretty much iris and leather, and you've got woody characteristics, kind of a woody base to go along with the fragrance, as well as some patchouli. Considered by many to be the holy grail of iris fragrances, at least in the designer realm, if nothing else. And I can't say that I completely disagree with that sentiment. But yes, this was a successful blind buy only because I already knew that I was a fan of the Dior Homme original DNA, which was a lot cheaper than this one here. So once again, from Dior, this is Dior Homme Parfum. All right, next one is coming from Ormond Jane, and this is Montabaco Intensivo. Ormond Jane, Montabaco Intensivo. This one here is a recommendation blind buy. This one is recommended, at least for me, from Equality Fragrances. If you know anything about Equality Fragrances, shout out to him. He does not really push a fragrance heavily onto his audience unless he really believes it's something a majority of guys will like. This just happens to be one of those fragrances. And I gotta say, any fragrance I've gotten based, or at least checked out, based on any of those type of recommendations, the ones he really says this is a good one for guys to check out, he's been right about. So I really do trust his opinion when it comes to fragrances that he talks about in that way. He doesn't do that for all of his fragrances. This one here, man, I'm glad I jumped on it. I probably could have gotten a sample of it, to be fair, but I saw it for a really good price, so I just went on ahead and took a chance. And this stuff is amazing. This is a cooling air, spicy tobacco fragrance, very clean tobacco fragrance. Does have this awesome tea accord in there, kind of adding to this cooling and calming feature with the fragrance, and it's very dry and woody at the dry down, mainly coming from Isogamma Super, giving kind of a cedar wood like effect. This stuff here is amazing. I mean, it's really like signature scent approved in my opinion. I could wear this for anything. If I were gonna go with like a smaller collection and I only wanted, you know, a few options available to me, this is one I would strongly consider keeping in a much smaller collection. It is just that good, and therefore very successful blind buy for me. Once again, from Ormond Jane, this is Montabaco Intensivo. All right, and the final fragrance for this video is coming from Tom Ford, and this is Tobacco Oud. Tom Ford Tobacco Oud. So this one here is also kind of a recommendation blind buy. I first heard Gentsense talk about this fragrance, and I don't remember if I ever heard anybody else talk about this fragrance, you know, before the time I actually bought this. I think I just grabbed it because it was becoming available again, and I said, let me just go ahead and jump on it. That's always a fragrance I thought was, you know, very intriguing to me, and I figured it would be one I would like. Turns out I was right. So this fragrance here is kind of a slightly boozy but very ashy, somewhat dirty tobacco fragrance with a really pleasant dry down, actually, coming from sandalwood and patchouli. And the oudi characteristics in this are actually still that westernized type of oud. In my opinion, it's kind of the whiskey and the spices in here that give this fragrance a slight edge when you first spray it on, and that is what could be maybe too much for some people when you spray this fragrance on. Might rub them on the wrong way just a little bit, because I find this to have some similarities to oud wood, but a lot more brash, a lot more aggressive, if you will. But this fragrance has all the things that I actually really like in fragrances. It has the nice aggressive spice profile, has a little bit of booziness to it. It has the somewhat exotic woody nature, and that patchouli and sandalwood combination, which is a dry down combination, or should I say a base note combination, that I have in a few fragrances in my collection. Is something I really like, and this one does it really well. So once again, from Tom Ford, this is Tobacco Oud. All right, guys, that is gonna do it for this video. Let me know down in the comments below. As I said before, I don't recommend blind buying, but I'm pretty sure many of you guys, if not all of you, have done it at least a few times. So let me know what some of your favorite blind, or should I say more successful blind buys have been. Looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. Thanks again for watching all the way into the end. I really do appreciate you guys. Please remember to be well and smell well. And I'll see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.